Welcome everybody to MWM Mentors for Massachusetts. We will be starting in a few minutes as people are joining. We want to welcome everybody and look forward to a great hour ahead. Thanks so much for joining. Great. Be a good group joining, so thank you so much for joining us today. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sheila Boynton with the National Stage Chair for MWM Mentors, and welcome to MWM Mentors Massachusetts today. We'll be getting started in a few minutes. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. I see several people still joining, so we're going to wait just another minute or so before we get started. But thank you so much for joining us this afternoon to learn a little bit more about MWM Mentors and STEM and all things related in Massachusetts. As we are getting ready to start, before we do, if you have time, if you don't mind, if you'll enter in the chat box who you are with, and if you'll select to send that to all panelists and attendees, then that way everybody can see it. Love to hear from who all is online, and appreciate everyone joining today. Okay. Well, I think we will go ahead and get started, and hope everyone can see our screen. And thank you so much for being part of our event today. As I mentioned, if you guys don't mind, go ahead and sign in. Just let everyone know who's on. Just really excited. I see Girl Scouts. Of course, we have some of our fellow colleagues from STEM Connector MWM Mentors and people from Cognizant. Welcome, welcome everybody. Glad to have you. Novartis, CS for Massachusetts, great. Civil Air Patrol, that's definitely a great STEM field. Museum of Science, welcome, welcome. Okay, well, thank you so much again. So we're really excited to be with you this afternoon. I am joined by my friend and my fellow colleague, Dr. Jenna Canfield, a rock star in her own right at Simmons University as a professor of chemistry and physics. And she is serving as our state chair for MWM Mentors for Massachusetts. You'll be hearing from her in just a little bit, and just very thrilled and excited to be with Jenna in this virtual setting to talk a little bit about MWM Mentors. So look forward to sharing the stage with her. And we wanted to give you a sense, again, if you haven't already, if you can enter in the chat box your name and your organization, just so we'll have an idea of who's on. And certainly the chat box is live, so we will also be able to have you put in questions there if you choose. So please feel free to do that as well. Today's agenda, just to lay it out for you, is we wanted to get sort of level set and give everyone a little background and a little information on MWM Mentors. And then we're going to be really excited to talk a little bit about Massachusetts, the work and STEM ecosystem that kind of is already existing in Massachusetts, and some opportunities for you to engage with MWM Mentors in the state. So again, just thank you for joining, and thanks for your interest in learning more about what we're doing. Just really trying to tell, obviously things that you guys are probably well familiar with, but, women, we are 50% of the workforce in this country, yet we're about 24% of the STEM workforce. That in itself is pause. And then of course, the really thing that shocks us is 50% of women that go into STEM drop out in the first 10 years. There's a lot of theories as to why that is, how that is, etc. But regardless, this is something that is of a national concern. Also, the interest in STEM for girls has been declining. This is some data from our partners at My College Options that actually interviews and surveys girls or students all across the country, about 2/3 of all schools, and has found that, the number of girls that are interested in STEM at high school graduation is declining. So I think there's several pieces here to unpack, looking at the current incumbent workforce and looking at the growing workforce. And, that is something that we certainly want to kind of shine a light on. But you know what? This isn't just about an equity issue. It's also about an economic issue. Women make more in STEM careers, obviously, than they would in non-STEM careers. You can see these average salaries and how they definitely are differentiated, with the 26 premium for those that have some kind of a STEM degree versus those that don't. I think the other number people are very familiar with is, women earn 77 cents to $1 for most jobs. But for STEM jobs, it's 92 cents. For computer science, it's even 96 cents. Should be dollar to dollar. But, these are economic equation numbers that really are important for us to note as we try to move that workforce forward and getting more girls and women into STEM. We also, as we mentioned earlier, when students are graduating, about 44% of guys will say they're interested in a major that isn't STEM, yet only 50% of girls. I was just sharing with Jenna before we got on this call today, when I graduated in engineering back in the early 80s, yes, I'm old, or I'm getting old. I was only one of 2 girls that graduated, and in my class in chemical engineering. And 1 in 9 women say that they're interested in pursuing careers in engineering or technology today. So we're still, those numbers are still very much lagging. But there are different ways to sort of address this. And mentoring is one of those things that just kind of came to light earlier, in this movement or this effort that we're involved in, MWM Mentors. What was really uncovered is that girls with a mentor are 2.5 times more likely to be confident. And again, if you're confident, you can explore and be in whatever career you like. The other piece is this isn't only a benefit for the mentee, it's also a benefit for the mentor. Employees who volunteer are more engaged, twice as likely to be more engaged at work. And companies with engaged employers obviously would outperform other companies as well by over 200%. People that also choose to mentor are 6 times more likely to be promoted and 23% more likely to earn a raise. Now, these are some great study figures that came out of a study out of Wharton. The other thing that came out is that for girls, and AAUW did a study that showed that girls like career paths where we're helping people. And a lot of times what happens with STEM is, no pun intended, but a lot of times it's taught very robotically, right? So, you do a math equation, or you might program this, or you might, do some kind of construction of some sort, but we don't really help kids and taking them all the way to the finish line to show them how being an engineer, or how being a scientist, or about being even a UX UI designer actually helps society. So having a mentor that can be a role model can be a very powerful way to get girls more interested in these STEM careers and help them stay in those. Million Mentors has been around for about 6 years, and we've really been fortunate to have the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, as one of our national honorary chairs and our state chair as well for Iowa. And, that has been a really kind of one of her calling cards, was highlighting the importance of women and girls in STEM and elevating the conversation around this. Given, everything that you heard and seen, MWM Mentors has really evolved into what we consider to be now the premier network that is really dedicated to encouraging girls and women around the world to pursue, persist, and succeed in STEM careers. All of these things need to happen. They have to pursue them. They have to be persistent, and they really will, with those two pieces, they can be successful in these STEM careers. We have individuals, companies, and girl-serving organizations can consider participating with us through membership or other opportunities that we're going to share with you today. So I think it's really exciting when we see the evolution of MWM Mentors as we started this effort 6 years ago. In fact, I believe it was about 4 or 5 years ago that Dr. Jenna Canfield, and I were able to be at the STEM conference in Massachusetts, back in person in the day, and do a presentation on MWM Mentors. And we had a chance to meet with the Lieutenant Governor at the time as well. So very exciting times that we've had in Massachusetts. Now, when we talk about mentoring, we wanted to give a little definition to this, because this is more than just what you might always think of about one-to-one mentoring, which is typically the way we think about mentoring. And there is nothing wrong with that. And that is still what I consider to be the sort of first-class way to do this is, when you have a mentee and you're able to meet and, able to build a personal relationship. That is wonderful. And that is certainly effective in growing, having more girls consider and stay in STEM, and certainly women within their careers. But, we want to remind people that there are multitudes of ways the ways that you can impact a young woman's career or even an incumbent workforce career. Online mentoring is very common nowadays. I will say I've had a mentee for 6 years, and, she and I have done the majority of our mentoring over text, over Facebook messaging, et cetera. When she went to college, it was just a way to stay connected. So really using some of these online effective platforms can be very effective in mentoring. The other thing is we really like to highlight and encourage companies to think about paid internships and apprenticeships and making sure that those are being offered widely to getting a diverse population. If anything we've learned over the last year, diversity, inclusion is a very important component of companies. My daughter's company, for example, in Chicago did a thing last summer, well, I guess it was pre-pandemic, so the summer before, where all their internships at a tech company went to women or to young women from colleges. Now, that's a bold statement and a way that a company can highlight and be successful in encouraging more women and girls into these fields. We also want people to remember workplace mentoring is important too. When a woman starts at a company, they really have to find sort of their network and their way to excel. And so, really helping all mentors. And again, even though we're called MWM Mentors, we want our mentors to be very broad and wide. So we need men mentors and we need women mentors as well. So don't think about you only can mentor if you're a woman for this movement or this effort. We also want men. It's going to take all hands on deck for this. And so, remembering that and really reaching back into the workforce within your company is a really great way to create a space that will allow women to grow. And sponsorship is another way. We don't often think about sponsorship, and sponsorship is something I like to think of sort of mentoring and advocating for a woman in a career when they're not in the room. So you're kind of the person that may shepherd and help them with their career, even when they are not in the room. So that's another way that you can really be involved in mentoring. So to talk a little bit about some of our core components of MWM Mentors, today you're really getting to learn a little bit about our state's movement. We'll talk about that. And you are also able to learn about, some corporate engagement. We really are thankful. We have a lot of corporations who have been involved with us for many years, and we look forward to inviting even more of them to participate, particularly here in Massachusetts. We also are involved in some global initiatives. This is not just a United States focused effort, it's an international effort. And we're launching efforts in countries like India and Pakistan and Turkey and others. And so, really excited to see the aptitude and the interest for global initiatives under the Million Mentors brand. And fourth and very important component of this is our community engagement. We have lots of nonprofit groups and universities like where Jenna is and others that are committed to this work as well. Part of it is that we really wanted MWM Mentors to be sort of that network that where people could come together, connect, and learn about different types of things that are going on within their own community and in their state and in their country. So our network, and to talk a little bit about our states, we'll definitely focus on, but our network was really designed to make an impact for women and girls in STEM, no question about that. We also really, our goal was to, people that join us to be seen as a leader in encouraging girls and women in STEM. So, those that are involved in us are featured in many of our social media and other things that we do, and they're seen as leaders encouraging girls and women in STEM careers. Additionally, for companies, this is a great opportunity to gain recognition, perhaps for your own company or maybe even for your own industry. There's a lot of tech companies and a lot of manufacturing, a lot of things where they really are in need of employees and qualified employees. So, having an effort and being connected to Million Mentors allows you the opportunity to highlight your particular industry as one where women can excel. I love one of our initiatives we have. It's called MWM Mentors, our Women in Insurance effort. We don't grow up thinking, hey, I want to be in insurance. No, that's not something that people grow up with. But if you actually realize in the insurance industry, there's an enormous opportunity for data scientists, for actuarians, for computer programmers. I mean, there are some really fantastic STEM careers in that, and often those are not highlighted for our youth that are coming up. So our Women in Insurance under the Million Mentors brand is really focused on getting more women into STEM careers in the insurance industry. Lastly, obviously, being involved in Million Mentors as a corporate leader gives you the opportunity to gain recognition for the work that you're doing to grow and get more women into STEM. So I think that's another really great piece that we have that we offer for our corporate partners and our others that are involved. Additionally, for our states, you can kind of see our structure over here, which is a really kind of a conglomerate of things. We have honorary chairs that I'll talk about in a minute. We have our steering committees, which are really kind of our volunteer efforts that help pull more women, girls, and men as well into our steering committee that can create this network across the states that allow you to get involved with different things that are going on. And then, of course, we're grateful to our wonderful state leaders that, like Jenna, who really have stepped up and raised their hand and said, I will help shepherd this in my state. Our movement is national as well, as we mentioned. And, all the stars that you see here are states where we've had, types of STEM leaders like Jenna and others who have stepped up and are leading. And so we have a few that we still are looking for people. So certainly if you have friends in other states, and particularly ones that don't have stars, please let us know. We'd love to engage with them. And, as I mentioned earlier, we do have some honorary chairs. We're very fortunate to have. Not that we were trying to politicize the movement. So I like to say that at the outset, this is not a political movement. But what we do is we do like to have these state leaders use their position and their opportunity when they are able to highlight the importance for women and girls in STEM. So this is definitely a bipartisan group, and we're not trying to talk about politics, but we are trying to talk about the importance of women in the workforce, which is a critical economic equation for each of these people when they're in their states. So we're very excited when we have the opportunity to feature one of our honorary chairs in events that we're doing within their state. Our network, as I mentioned earlier, is vast and wide. You can see a lot of the great brands that are involved with STEM Connector and Million Mentors. And maybe for those of you that aren't familiar, STEM Connector is the national really network doing exactly what it says, connecting everyone in STEM. And MWM Mentors is really the personal outreach of a sort of movement and network for STEM Connector to really impact more women and girls in STEM. So we're thrilled when we have such great brands that want to associate themselves with MWM Mentors, with STEM Connector, and more information certainly about that can be shared. Of course, now let's start drilling down and talking a little bit about Massachusetts, the great state that we're here to talk about today, you know, where definitely I talk a lot about national and things that are going on nationally and certainly within the economy. You know, as we know in this country, all things are local control, a lot of local things. So when we were starting the movement 6 years ago, it made sense to sort of start these individual efforts in the states. We were thrilled when we got, you know, 1 and 2 and 3, you know, states that we had leaders come in, and we were very, very lucky to get to really be featured and connected to so many of the state leaders that we have today, who have really taken on and volunteered and championed this effort for their state. What's been very exciting is, you know, in MWM Mentors, when we look at the different states, we see companies, organizations who want to be involved in their state, as well as the national conversation of MWM Mentors and the impact of mentoring for girls in STEM. We also know that, you know, our post-secondary and educational organizations, much like Jenna's part of, they are really looking to be part of the national network. I know she may share some stories about some great programs that they're doing to get more girls into STEM, where they are being oversubscribed because there are so many girls that are looking for this opportunity when we really are able to articulate it for them. Additionally, nonprofit organizations. You know, we have a lot of wonderful nonprofit organizations that are in this country, including the Girl Scouts and Girls Inc., and great organizations like Science Olympiad and First Robotics. I think that's actually headquartered in your state, that actually are doing some great work to encourage more girls to consider STEM careers and things like that. And so, you know, that's what's important, is to get those organizations connected, maybe to the post-secondary environment or to the companies that are involved. So again, you know, this very rich network that allows us to communicate with each other. This is really very powerful when it's organized by coordinating efforts in our state and our regions. And so that's really why the state network is so critical to the advancement of this movement. Every year we host a national summit. This year it was virtual, this past year. It is going to be in this October, and hopefully if everybody is vaccinated and all good, we'll be able to have it in person as well. The last couple of years, we've been able to have wonderful participation from state leaders and national leaders as well, that have come and shared their experiences about growing MWM Mentors within their own states. And what's wonderful is, one of the things we encourage people to do is make MWM Mentors part of things that are going on in your state. You know, this is not about starting from ground up and going. And I know Jenna's going to share with us, already you have some great things going on in your state. This is about connecting all of that, aggregating it to make it a louder and a much more strategic voice for our country to understand the importance of women, girls in STEM. You know, we've seen over the last 6 years, definitely that conversation change, and the recognition that getting more girls into STEM is great for our country. So we understand it now, but we still have a lot of work to do, particularly when we hear, like in December, we had 150,000 women that dropped out of the workforce during our pandemic time, and 16,000 jobs were gained by men. We've got work to do. So it's important that we band together in this regard. Some of our best practices, just to give you ideas, are things where we've had, you know, states that have done their own STEM summit, like in New Jersey, or we had, you know, in Delaware, the lieutenant governor able to really promote MWM Mentors to National Lieutenant Governors Convention that came. Texas does some great things where they have a monthly newsletter. They share mentoring opportunities within their state. They do a Stand Up for STEM award, awarding every December. There are a lot of great ways that you can really activate under the Million Mentors brand some of the things you're doing, or maybe you learn something from another state and you're able to do that within your own state. Every year, we produce what we call State of the States. I encourage you to take a look at that, available on our website. And what's great about this provides in a snapshot what is going on within your state that's connected to Million Mentors. You can see some of the great activities that have happened in Massachusetts. And so it's a really great opportunity for you to learn a little bit about what's going on, but then we'd love for you to share with us what you are also doing so that we can actually feature that in this report, as well as our monthly newsletter. We get a monthly newsletter every single month that really shares a lot of the things that are going on across the country. So if you have items to share with us, we'll share an email at the end where you will be able to send information. So now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Jenna Canfield. You know, as she and I mentioned, we really have bonded over this love for STEM and gotten to know each other over the last few years. And I'm thrilled to be able to share the stage with her today so she can share a little bit about, you know, some of what's going on and some of what might be the vision for Massachusetts at MWM Mentors. Jenna.
Right. Thank you, Sheila. One, thank you for joining me in this event, because I'm very excited to start talking about sort of our new initiatives in Massachusetts, but also to acknowledge that the recruitment and retention of women in STEM is a critical component to the workforce development that goes on in the state of Massachusetts. I think many of you that are here know that obviously we are a STEM hub in the United States. And as such, I feel that we have an obligation and a responsibility to really be working in this space and thinking about ways of recruiting more women, but also all underrepresented groups in the STEM field so that everybody is getting a seat at the table. Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about a lot of what Massachusetts is already doing. For many of you, these organizations and events are probably familiar to you. We host every year a Mass STEM Summit, which is primarily a K through 12 education summit about all of the STEM activities that are going on across the state for a lot of STEM serving organizations, not just girls serving organizations, but you know, education organizations that are hoping to move the needle in STEM education in Massachusetts. The last 2 years, the Governor's STEM Advisory Council has sponsored and supported the Mass STEM Week, which is a week in October, where again, primarily through K through 12, but also in undergraduate and higher ed, you see weekly STEM events across the state, primarily coming out of the 9 regional STEM networks, where we really highlight the importance of STEM, the importance of science education, and the importance of the recruitment and retention of underrepresented groups in that space. It is, you know, the activities run the gamut. The first year we did this, a lot of them were in person. It was wonderful. The first year was 2019, and we were able to be in person, and so many high schools had a week full of STEM events that students participated in. They shut down classes and actually did STEM activities so that really students would understand the importance of STEM. You know, if you cancel English class to have a STEM activity, right, you're making a statement about that. But there were also events at Simmons campus. We held several events at all levels. We had a fantastic networking event teaching students about Networking 101 for our undergraduates and all of the colleges of the Fenway. We did a forensics event for K through 6 graders on campus. So STEM Week is a big, big event. You're probably familiar with the Cambridge Science Festival that's been going on for years. That's another place where, again, we sort of centralize a bunch of STEM information activities to sort of really promote the importance of STEM education. I'm currently working on the membership committee for the Girl Scouts of Eastern Mass. And one of the things I've been really impressed with the Girl Scouts in general is the focus on STEM and STEM virtual badges and STEM badges that they offer. I see in the chat that there's someone here also mentioning Central Mass Girl Scouts. I think the Girl Scouts are a fantastic organization for promoting STEM and leadership, certainly. I think leadership being the focus of the Girl Scouts is key. We all know that women who have strong leadership skills persist and are successful in whatever career they choose, and particularly in science, right? There are lots of STEM focused organizations in the state. I can't possibly list them all. The ones that I'm the most familiar with are the ones that I feel do really the best sort of promotion of STEM education, and particularly STEM recruitment. It's the Governor's STEM Advisory Council. I've been on that council now for the last 3 years, and the members, it's basically really sort of promoted and supported by the Lieutenant Governor, Karen Polito. And the focus there is in workforce development and workforce recruitment, and making sure that the kids in the state of Massachusetts that are getting STEM education, both at the undergrad and the high school level, stay in the state and work in the field, because this is a state that has more than 215 biotech and pharmaceutical companies. There are 100 plus colleges with robust STEM programs. And so, keeping these individuals in the workforce here only benefits our state collectively, right? STEM Nexus, which is coming out of the Mass Department of Higher Ed. As I said, there are 9 regional STEM networks in Massachusetts. So across the state, it's not just in the Metro Boston area, although we tend to sometimes get hyper-focused on that space, the Metro Boston area, because that's where a lot of the biotech and higher ed universities and colleges are. But across the state, there are STEM networks, and there are individuals who are giving up their time to help in sort of moving the needle on STEM education in the state. And as I said, there's many STEM educational institutes and STEM educational opportunities across the state. I couldn't name them all, but you can see that we already have a statewide focus on STEM, a focus on STEM education, and a focus on the recruitment and retention of underrepresented groups in STEM. And what I'm really passionate about is linking that already robust activity with a focus on mentoring and a focus on connecting young women and girls with mentors and with organizations that recognize the impact that mentoring can have on success for women. So Sheila, if you can go to the next slide. So what am I here today to talk about? I'm here to talk about how can you participate in this initiative? How can you help me grow the Massachusetts face of Million Women Mentors? And what do I need help with in terms of really recruiting and making a more robust focus on this in the state? So there are lots of opportunities. One key one is just joining the steering committee, both as an active member of the steering committee, but also as an honorary member of the steering committee, lending your name to the promotion of Million Women Mentors across the state. So, the state steering committee works with the state chair and also all of the Million Women Mentor participants to help promote both the initiative itself, the Million Women Mentors initiative, but also promote the importance of mentoring in STEM recruitment, right? And it also helps set the goals that our state wants to do, and it helps us connect all of those girl-serving organizations and those girl-serving activities together so that we're not reinventing the wheel all the time, right? And we're not operating in a vacuum. We are a large state. And although, we have 9 STEM networks, we're not often in communication with each other. And so it'd be wonderful to increase the steering committee members from across the state, not just the Metro Boston area, so that we get some input from that. So how are these activities actually available? What activities rather are available, right? So you can participate in the steering committee throughout the state in lots of different ways, as a corporate member, as a nonprofit, as a education, a higher ed K through 12 organization. work with me and other state leadership to schedule events, to engage more steering committee members, to engage leaders of some of those girl serving organizations to come together and promote Million Women Mentors in their own activities. Work with companies and organizations to amplify the efforts that they are already doing. If your company already has a very robust Women in Science group or organization within your corporation, let's amplify that effort. Let's amplify that effort to the state level, and then let's amplify that effort to the national level. To participate in the state team calls that happen periodically during the month to talk about what ways can our state be a leader in this initiative, right? And I think the key, and I think Sheila mentioned on this as well, is as a member of the steering committee, if you want to sort of promote work that you are already doing and work that is already being done in the state, how can we elevate that to the national level and get some national recognition of what I believe we are already doing very well in the state of Massachusetts, which is mentoring young women in science, right? And I think that's key. Sheila, if you want to go to the next slide. So this is really my call to action in Massachusetts. This is my call to action for the members of this webinar, but it's also my call to action for you to take this message back to your home institution, back to the organizations that you might represent, back to your own daily job life where you feel that mentoring is super important to you. And I'm asking for you to join the state steering committee. I'm asking for you to commit some time and some volunteering time. I'm asking you to commit your name, your company's name, your commitment to mentoring, and to be counted in this sort of roll call for the state of Massachusetts. If you're representing a company or organization, you might join just the steering committee to facilitate further and deeper involvement in the state's overall mentoring initiative, the Million Women Mentoring Initiative. If you're a girl serving organization, right? Again, you're already doing some of this work. So get recognition, be counted, and then improve and increase your efforts across the board. Meet with other leaders of girl serving organizations to find out what they're doing, what's working for them. Again, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We know mentoring works, and we know there's some really phenomenal mentoring opportunities that are very successful in the state. How can we collect them together, and how can we promote them together? So that's really my primary sort of call to action here, is to participate in the initiative to whatever degree that you feel you can. Sheila, if you want to go to the next slide, right? So what's our next step? Tell me you're interested. Send me an email, right? Tell me that you're interested in being part of the steering committee. Encourage your company to take an active role in this space. Go back, as I said, to your home institutions and your corporations and talk about this work. Suggest that we make an investment in this work. Let's be really honest, right? Sometimes that investment might be monetary, right? Sometimes we're looking for funds and sponsorship and finances to sponsor activities, to sponsor mentoring space activities within the context of some of the work that's already being done in Massachusetts. So if you're part of a company that has made a financial commitment in this space before, here's another opportunity for you to get sort of a response for the money that you're working on, the money that you're contributing, right? So be part of Million Women Mentors and get that message out. And then to outreach to your own network, share this opportunity, encourage participation, go back to your colleagues, go back to your supervisors, go back to your diversity and inclusion people in your institution, and let's increase our focus and let's increase our face in this area in the state of Massachusetts. And let's be a leader in the recruitment and retention of women in STEM, as Massachusetts should be. And that's my appeal to everyone that's here. I want to thank everyone that has come and given up an hour of their day to listen to this event. I am happy to provide a lot more information, far more details than I could in the space of an hour. So certainly any email that comes to me, I will be happy to engage in a conversation and give you some great opportunities for how you can participate.
Great. Thank you so much, Jenna, for your leadership and your caring and interest in supporting this effort. Again, as she mentioned, we welcome anyone that is on this call today and your networks to get involved with this network and the efforts that are going on. We also would like to highlight for you that more recently, there has been a LinkedIn MWM Massachusetts that has been set up. And so we'd encourage you to join that as well, because I think that's a great way for you to stay connected to some of what's going on. And several things that Jenna mentioned, just to re-highlight for you, number one, if you have some activities that are already going on, as she mentioned, there's a lot of great work going on already. Let's just get the Million Mentors branding and efforts connected to that, because we can then provide you the opportunity to share that through our social media, through our national newsletter, and then certainly in our annual report. So let's remember that. Certainly can email Jennifer at Simmons as well. You can send it to me personally, or you can send it to states@millionmentors.com, and we can make sure that is all shared as well. Certainly, as she mentioned, if there are corporate partners out there that really want to lean in a strong way into the network, we would welcome that outreach as well. And, there may be someone that follows up with you to see if that's an interest and fits in with alignment with what you're trying to do as a company. For our nonprofit friends and others, I saw the Girl Scouts, as Jenna mentioned, and others that are on, we want to help you too, to amplify the work that you're doing, to get more people involved in mentoring and doing activities with you. So again, encourage you to reach out. I just want to take this time, let's just see if there are any questions in our chat. We certainly will be happy to answer them. And, again, we're very, very excited to have you all on the phone with us or on the webinar today with us, and hope you learned a little bit about Million Mentors. You can certainly visit our website at millionmentors.com, and we certainly want you to sign up to get our newsletter. So if you are not getting our monthly newsletter, which comes out on the first Monday of every month, you can email us at states@millionmentors.com, and we will make sure you get added to our newsletter. And if there are other questions that you have, certainly feel free to reach out to Jenna or myself. I hope that everyone on here stays well, stay safe during this unusual time that we're living in. And again, thank you to Jenna for your leadership. Thank you to those that participated today. And we look forward to seeing Massachusetts as you continue to build and grow this network. So thank you again, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much. If there's any questions now, you can certainly put questions in the chat. I'm happy to stay for a few minutes and answer them. But I'm also happy to connect via email, absolutely, in the near future for sure.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Okay.
I think it's just us.
That was great.
I don't think my camera ever came on. So it looks like I never saw, did you see me when I was talking? Oh, okay, thank God. Because I could only see you, and I was worried that my camera was off, even though it said it was